most important things to know about Kerr County is the resilience of the people. From the losses of the wars of the last century and this century to the flu epidemic, the devastation of tuberculosis, the Great Depression, the Texas recession of the late 80s, and the Great Recession of 2007 to 2009, the people who call Kerr County home have risen to the occasion, not just to survive, but to thrive. And we build on our assets, our strengths. This is not all of those strengths, but consider these: the natural beauty of this area, the strong schools, Schreiner University and Alamo College, the excellent healthcare system, the diversity of retail, where a total of 100,000 people of the area shop here, strong tourism, growing strength in manufacturing, city and county collaboration, foundations that grant millions of dollars to strengthen this city and county and area, the strength of effective nonprofit organizations, the generous and strong spirit of the people, and that we are a community of faith. What do these strengths have to do with wisely battling the coronavirus? These kinds of strengths are critical to coming through this health crisis and this economic crisis, but also for building the future of this place we call home and making it a good place for all the citizens. In the meantime, be careful. Wash your hands frequently, wear a mask, which I have mine right next to me, observe social distancing, wipe surfaces, stay in as much as possible, and when you get out, shop local. And look out for your family, your friends, and your neighbors. Now, at this time, let's hear from Corey Edmondson, the CEO of Peterson Health.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. As of this morning, we have tested 517 patients, and 20 of those are pending results. These patients are tested at Peterson within the Peterson Health system. As you may be aware that last weekend, the Texas National Guard tested 107 patients. That number is not included in ours. That is independent of what we have completed. Between the Texas National Guard and Peterson, that's a total of 624 patients that have been tested in our community as of this morning. Of note, as you know, last week we had 5 cases, positive cases, and 4 of those have recovered. Just this week, since Tuesday, we've now have 3 additional positive cases. That's a total of 8 for our county as a whole. These newest cases are the result of community spread. That is new for us. The 5 prior to that were all travel related. So we have something new for us as a community. And I'll emphasize the importance of social distancing and things of that later in my discussion. Texas as a whole, as of this morning, has 34,422 cases. That's 7,368 more than last week. As of this morning, there were 748 deaths in Texas, and that's 216 more than last week. A few of interest of note from Peterson Health's standpoint. Want to reiterate that our testing and screening has moved to the Peterson Urgent Care Center, located at 1740 Junction Highway. That moved from the Hill Country Event Youth Center from last week. We started that Monday at the Urgent Care Center. You can go there. It still requires you to be symptomatic. It requires you to have a physician's order, and we request you call and set up an appointment. You can call 830-258-7669 to schedule that. The positive thing that Peterson Urgent Care is open 7 days a week, so feel free to give them a call. As you know from last week, we also have continued to open surgical cases, and that is going very well. We continue with visitor restrictions. That's still in effect, and we're following Texas Department of State Health Services guidelines and rules in regards to that. We know it's been difficult and people have been very positive and understanding with visitor restrictions, but believe me, we know your pain and feel that and want to do the best for everybody. But for your safety, for your loved one's safety, and for the staff, we're going to continue to monitor that and we'll adjust accordingly, but we want to do the best we can for everyone. Please visit our website for the latest news on COVID-19. It continues to get several hits and be a center for people's access for updates. Last week, I mentioned the CDC guidelines and updates as a whole. I won't bore you with those, but do want to reiterate what the mayor has said in regards to washing and wearing face masks and all the things that are required, social distancing that has shown improved that reduces the spread of COVID-19. My statement last week in regards to safety and cleanliness with Peterson Health and the healthcare system as a whole had an impact because we obviously saw an increase in overall physician visits in our offices. People were seeking medical care. Want to reiterate that at this time, more than ever, your healthcare is very important. You want to take very good care of that. People continue to have fun with the, they don't want to develop the add-on the COVID-19 pounds. I think you may see people out there with COVID-19 pounds. Let's take care of ourselves, eat right, and exercise. But continue to reach out to your doctor for doctor's appointments. They're all seeing those. Something that you will see that may be changing at your doctor's office, something to be aware of, and this was established by the Texas Medical Board. You'll see probably some signage and some paperwork within your doctor's office about COVID-19 and what's required. One of those new requirements is that a mask must be worn by the patient and the physician or the physician's delegate when in proximity to the patient, meaning less than 6 feet distance between the patient and the physician. So I recommend you bring your mask to your doctor's visit. Each practice may have their own policies and procedures of how that's accomplished. Be aware of that. Ask the questions of your doctor's office, but that's something new that you'll be very well aware of. Before any patient encounter, patients must be screened as well for potential symptomatic of COVID-19 or verify that they have been previously screened within the last 20 days. So that's something new as well. You'll be screened at your doctor's office. The purpose of these rules is to protect you, to protect the doctors, protect the providers of healthcare, and the community from the spread of COVID-19. Pause and want to celebrate that this week, starting yesterday, for the next several days, is National Nurses Week. This, in fact, 2020, before COVID even came to existence, globally, 2020 was considered the year of the nurse. And my, oh my, is it ever. There must have been somebody knowing that what was coming down the pike. But if you know of a nurse or see one, express your appreciation and gratitude towards them. They're celebrating their 200th anniversary, and really it's due to the birth of Florence Nightingale. She's considered the founder of modern nursing. And nurses are putting themselves on the front line today as other healthcare providers, but take a special pause to recognize our nurses throughout the country and throughout Kerrville and the Hill Country at this time. One of the things people have asked me is, how has Peterson been able to weather this storm financially? How have we been able to operationalize and continue to do the things that we're doing? Some of that is due to our prudent and being doing well from a financial standpoint. We've always tried to be good stewards of our resources and finances. But I will tell you, I'll give you some statistics to be aware of. We have seen an average of over 40% in our typical charges that we have on a weekly basis. That's significant when you take that and consider that revenue, cash comes in from those charges. Our emergency room visits are down by roughly 45%. We've had over 5,500 cancellations. That's through procedures, through office visits, through therapy, through everything that we do within the health system. And again, that negatively impacts us. Cash collections are significantly down and impact us overall. It's our intent to continue to be operational as we always have been, as we care for our community and the Hill Country. And so your support in every way that you can is much appreciated. So let me conclude with this. As you just see just this week, we have 3 new cases. Please use caution when you go out and go about your daily life. We want Kerrville to be the safest community and represent the state well. We would like to brag that we've done everything right. And I think we're doing things well, but it's up to you and your family. You're critical to our success. Please do your part, be respectful of others, and be prudent in your activity. Peterson Health continues to provide the safest environment and the best possible care through this crisis. It's a never-ending battle here. I will tell you, it's a constant change, but there are heroes in our midst, and I'm thankful that I get to work for an organization and a staff that does the things that they do. We're all in this together, including you, the health system, the community, the Hill Country. We're all in this together. So I thank you for doing your part. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And now we're going to hear from Gil Salinas, who is the director of the Kerr Economic Development Corporation. Gil? I don't think Gil is on.
That was me. I didn't push the unmute. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. All right.
All right, so sales tax revenues for the City of Kerrville released by the State Comptroller's Office yesterday showed a 2.8% decrease for the same time last year. It's encouraging to see that there's a little bit of stability. The impact is not as significant as we had anticipated yet. And it truly shows that we're an economic hub for the Hill Country. However, these numbers are for the month of March, which means part of the story is that there was a rush of people buying food and supplies before the strict social distancing measures were in effect. Now, getting back to today, beauty salons, barbershops, and another wave of businesses will be allowed to open tomorrow. That's Friday, May 8th. And that is exciting for our local businesses and our entrepreneurs as they're being allowed to start ramping up now. That leads me to the Over the Fence podcast. This afternoon on KerrvilleTogether.com, you'll find a new podcast interview. This time, we will be interviewing Danielle De Stefano. She's the owner and operator of Glam Bar, which is a full-service hair salon, boutique, and tanning shop. She's going to be sharing her story about how she's made the most of her time when she was closed, from improvements to her shop, and how she's diversified her business model during this pandemic. For tomorrow, she already has a full day of appointments. Her phone has not stopped ringing for appointments since the governor had announced earlier this week that he was allowing businesses like hers to resume. So slowly but surely, everybody's getting some kind of an opportunity to start getting back to work and making some kind of money. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a lengthy process. So we just need to be patient. Also, on KerrvilleTogether.com, you can go on there and nominate a local entrepreneur. We've created a 40 under 40 campaign to recognize those individuals like Danielle who are keeping our community moving forward during this epidemic. Go on there, nominate someone today. These are the entrepreneurs who are building a more resilient economy for Kerrville. I just mentioned some of the numbers previously. They are the backbone of our economy. And now more than ever is when we need them the most. Ourselves as economic developers, this is helping us take another step in building a more diversified economy and a more resilient, and that's a key word, a more resilient economy to better weather these storms. So in closing, shop local, invest in our entrepreneurs, nominate someone today, and let's do our best to practice social distancing. KerrvilleTogether.com and hashtag KerrvilleTogether. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gil. And now we hear from Jonathan Letts, one of our county commissioners.
Just a couple of comments this morning. I really want to just reiterate what Mabille and Corey have said and what you've said, Mayor. I'm proud of the community for the way we've stepped up for the most part. But I just want to encourage people not to let their guard down. Social distancing is really important. Wearing masks in certain environments is certainly important. I was driving through Kerrville yesterday, and I happened to pass a pickup that had looked like 6 probably high school, college age kids in it, and it just is kind of made the hair stand back a little bit on my neck. That there are some in the community that are not taking this as serious as they really need to, and even if they don't care about themselves, which I wish they would, they need to think of others. And there are a lot of people that are vulnerable in the community, and we need to think of them and act accordingly. But it's really, I think we'll continue to do right. But if we, that's all I really have to say this morning. Thank you, Mayor.
Does that conclude your remarks, Jonathan?
Go ahead.
Okay, I think it's my turn now. Little technical difficulty. So good morning. I'm Mark McDaniel, City Manager for Kerrville, and I appreciate the opportunity to review the governor's actual written order from earlier in the week. His press release came out, or his comments came out, and then the order came out later. So there was a lot more detail in the order beyond the remarks that he made that I want to go over just a little bit here. First of all, funerals, memorials, burials, and weddings should be treated same as church-type gatherings with regard to limited seating arrangements. And of course, at-risk populations are strongly encouraged to participate remotely. Park-like settings such as beaches, lakes, and rivers, including river rafting and swimming in the river, should already be following the same guidelines as required by park gatherings. This means that swimming is allowed in the rivers, and we're going to be posting additional signage just to remind people of the proper social distancing. The 50% seating capacity limitation for restaurants here in Kerr County, there was a clarification that does not include outdoor seating. We're more looking at proper social distancing, and the capacity level does not include employees. Previously, that was a correction that we needed to make in terms of the governor's order. Our skate park will reopen as soon as we can properly stage it so that patrons can practice their sport and also appropriate social distancing. Public pools may now open beginning tomorrow, and they are subject to 50% capacity limits for some counties, and so that would include Kerrville. And social distancing and proper sanitation limits must be observed. So we are making contact again with all of our local pool owners and managers to advise them of this change, make sure they're all set up. The Olympic pool will not open until June 16th, just so that we can be ready to do that. And so even this weekend, we'll begin training lifeguards. So June 16th on the Olympic pool. It should be noted that the reopening of pools does not include facilities such as amusement parks, water parks, or splash pads. So if the facility that's a pool also has those amenities, those will not open. High-touch playgrounds will not reopen yet as well. In city parks, they cannot be kept sanitized for every use. Enclosures recommended for guidance best practices by the National Recreation and Park Association. Play areas and interactive displays are further prohibited from opening elsewhere in the governor's order, and playgrounds and state parks are not open yet either. Similarly, basketball courts will not reopen per the governor's order. That contact sports should not yet resume. Recycling at our curbside, for curbside customers in Kerrville will not change. It'll continue the same schedule going forward for the curbside recycling for Kerrville residents. The extra recycling service for the drop-off materials at the landfill has been eliminated, as many of you know. This service cost us about $60,000 a year for our taxpayers, and it's been discontinued due to budget shortfalls related to COVID-19. Monthly brush and yard waste pickup has resumed in May. We did not have that in April, as many of you know, so we're happy that it is now resuming on the regular schedule here in May. Barbershops, cosmetologists, nail salons, and tanning salons may reopen, as Gil Salinas mentioned, so I won't go over that. They do have quite a few regulations that they have to abide by pursuant to the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, and by all accounts, we're seeing that they are preparing to be ready for their customers beginning tomorrow. Gyms and exercise facilities may reopen May 18th, so not tomorrow, but on May 18th. And they also have a pretty extensive checklist that they have to abide by. And because Kerr County has not had many cases, they are allowed to operate at 50% as opposed to 25% capacity. Courts will reopen June 1st. This is like municipal court, district court, and so forth. But they're subject to approval of plans that have to be submitted and then approved by a judge before they can open. Manufacturing facilities and office buildings that are not deemed essential may open in limited ways beginning May 18th. So again, not Friday, but on May 18th. And for Kerr County, again, that's at 50% of occupancy limitation and a staggered workforce if necessary. It should be noted that nothing in this most recent executive order or the DSHS minimum standards precludes requiring a customer wishing to obtain services to follow additional hygiene measures as prescribed by a business or facility. So that means that a business or facility can require the wearing of masks or other things. And it's been mentioned before, a business or facility is not required to reopen. So if they're just allowed to, they're not required to. This remains an individual business decision, as it should be. In closing, we're pleased to continue with a slow and measured reopening and ask that our citizens continue to demonstrate care for themselves and others by doing the right things. This means social distancing, wearing masks when in close proximity to others in public, practicing good hygiene, and adhering to the governor's orders. Throughout this pandemic, we've strived to provide the best advice and assistance and seek voluntary cooperation without any heavy-handed enforcement. We have no plans to change this approach. It's worked well for us. Most of our businesses and facilities are respecting the governor's orders in the interest of their customers and their employees. And we appreciate your patience and understanding as we try diligently to communicate changes as they come about really on a daily and even hourly basis. And we pledge to continue to constantly communicate with you. So thank you, Mayor. And I think we're now on to Mark Faust, Superintendent of KISD.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. Yes, sir, we have a couple of updates. First, we want to take a moment to, like Corey and Peterson Health, celebrate some of our key personnel. This is National Teacher Appreciation Week. And ask our community that probably has some idea, particularly our parents, know the incredible lengths that are going to try and reach our kids and continue to serve and educate our kids, provide them with engaging lessons. They are working incredibly hard. The stress level continues to be high for all of us that are trying to deliver a virtual KISD. If you wouldn't mind taking an opportunity to reach out to a teacher or two or three that you know and give them a kind word this week, I am certain that they would appreciate it. Teachers change the trajectory of our students' lives. They invest in our kids and they change our communities through our children. And they're an incredibly important part of what we do in our civilization, our society. So please reach out to them and express your appreciation. I do want to publicly say too, yesterday, Calvary Temple Church made a great sacrifice. They connected with Buzzy's Barbecue and provided hundreds of our employees, teachers and staff, with a free lunch yesterday, drive-through, very safe and efficient system that they had there. And they provided that lunch to show their appreciation for our staff. So thank you so much to Calvary Temple Church. The next key piece that we have to talk about is graduation. We were very pleasantly surprised by the governor's announcement Tuesday of this week in his press conference, and the guidance that the governor's office and TEA has put together to allow for certain counties, and in this case, Kerr County and Tybee High School, to host an outdoor graduation ceremony at Antler Stadium on Friday, May 29th at 8 p.m. I cannot tell you how excited we are about that. At the same time, we are going to follow and honor the safety precautions and the guidelines that have been very clearly outlined. So we're so happy that we can take this time to celebrate the class of 2020 and these seniors. They absolutely deserve this opportunity, but we have to do this correctly. We have to do this in a way that is safe for our community, for our students, for our staff, and all the families that will be joining us. We have approximately 315 graduates that'll be participating in the ceremony, and they will participate via social distancing per the guidelines. We will provide a maximum of 5 family members per graduate to the stadium. We have plenty of capacity to use the social distancing guidelines, where the group of 5 will be grouped together, and then they'll be spread out by more than 6 feet to the next family. So we will spread out and use the stadium, and we will follow the screening guidelines that have been provided for us. We'll have a very organized entry, multiple entry points into the stadium where folks will be checked in. They'll be given assigned seats. We are going to ask that our at-risk populations follow the guidance and watch the ceremony via live stream. And we will, those at-risk populations with underlying health conditions or in certain age groups are asked to not attend this event in person. We'll follow the personal protective equipment guidelines, and we'll ask our participants to bring face masks. We'll provide our staff with face masks and personal protective equipment. And we believe with that great level of detail of assigned gate locations, assigned parking, assigned seating, that we can really have a well-monitored event that is as safe as we can possibly make it under these conditions, following each of the guidelines that have been provided to us. So I just wanted to share that we feel incredibly blessed that we have this opportunity to celebrate our seniors, and we're going to do it in the right way, considering our public and everyone involved's safety. The last thing I would share is we've got a couple of weeks before we close out officially. We end on May 29th. We have enjoyed incredible support from our community, for our teachers, for our students, and I'm thankful to the Kerrville ISD community and family for how they're going above and beyond to serve our kids. And we would just ask the community, please continue to support us as we finish strong this school year. That's all I have for now, Mayor.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Faust. And now for Dr. Charlie McCormick, who is president of Shriner University.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, like Tidy students and Dr. Faust's announcement, we're quickly coming to a close of our semester also. In fact, this Saturday would have been graduation at Shriner University, and we wish all of our graduating students the very best and everything life has waiting for them. At this time, Shriner University does plan to be back as a residential campus for the fall 2020 semester. And the governor's message this week keeps us cautiously optimistic that we're actually going to be able to achieve that goal. And we're going to publish our Start the Fall semester plan no later than June 1st, and we'll post that to our website. Now, while some employees are returning to work on campus May 18th, we're right now only allowing limited and scheduled visitors on campus through June the 1st. And as we approach that June 1st date, we'll evaluate whether or not to extend the need to schedule visitors to campus beyond June 1st. Right now, office supervisors are establishing new workplace expectations to maximize social distance and to ensure the safety of all of our employees. We're moving our workspaces around to limit person-to-person interaction. We're staggering employee hours and days in the office. We're establishing regular times for taking the temperature of employees and setting new cleaning protocols when people are in the office. And we're publishing a set of on-campus work expectations, including things like wearing a face covering while interacting with others as we get ready to reopen on May 18th. Shriner University remains committed to ensuring its students are provided a premier educational experience, and we will update our website as changes to the university are occurring. We look forward to seeing all of you on campus soon. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Dr. McCormick. And now we're going to hear from our fire chief, Danny Smith. Let me say that Danny has carried a lot of responsibilities. Chief Smith has carried a lot of responsibilities through this time in terms of helping to manage this emergency, keep us informed, gather information, do all kind of coordination. And we appreciate that greatly. Chief Smith?
Thank you, Mayor, and good morning, everyone. I think the city manager has covered in detail the extent of the governor's latest orders and how that impacts Kerrville. And I hope you can see it, but you should have in front of you the document that I want to talk about this morning. There's been a lot of questions regarding now that we're at a 50% occupancy rate, what has to happen for us to lose that or basically revert back to the 25% occupancy rate, to a 25% occupancy rate, like many cities are at that weren't below the threshold of less than 5 positive cases in that particular county that they reside in. So what basically has to happen within the governor's document, Open in Texas, he outlined 5 things that would have to happen to push a community or county like ours that are currently at the 50% occupancy rate back to a 25% level. And the first item on the screen you should be able to see is that it would require 5 consecutive testing or tracking intervals with positivity rates greater than 12%. Currently, the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Peterson, we track the COVID-19 cases in our community on a weekly basis. And that's consistent with what the state of Texas is doing. So to give you an idea of what would have to happen, we would basically have to have 5 consecutive weeks with positivity rates greater than 12%. And I went back and pulled some information from our tracking data to show you what that would look like, or what it has looked like over the past few weeks in Kerrville and Kerr County. For the week of April 26th through May 2nd, there were a total of 219 COVID-19 tests conducted. To reach that 12% positivity rate, that would basically equate to 26 positive tests. During that week, which was last week, we basically had no positive tests in that period. Now, we did conduct a pretty extensive testing on Saturday, May 2nd. The Texas Military Department came out. It conducted 107 tests. And the state of Texas has confirmed for me that as a result of those 107 tests, we only received 1 positive test result out of that number. Looking back at the week prior to April 26th through May 2nd, the time frame of April 19th through April 25th, a total of 82 tests were conducted in Kerrville, Kerr County. To hit that 12% positivity rate, it would basically require 9 positive test results. During that period, we only had 1 positive test result during that period. And one thing I'd like to point out is that to revert back to the 25% occupancy rate, we would have to hit that 12% level consecutively for 5 weeks straight. So at this point, it doesn't look like Kerrville, Kerr County is in any jeopardy of having to revert back to a 25% occupancy rate. The second criteria that would have to, that could affect us having to go back to the 25% occupancy rate would be if within the county we had 3 positive cases per 1,000 residents. And what that would look like, 2018 census data says Kerrville has about 52,400 people in it. 3 positive cases per 1,000 county residents. If we hit a total of 156 COVID-19 cases, positive cases in Kerr County. So as of today, we've had a total of 8 in the county and only 4 active cases at this point. And then as a third criteria, if the hospital had less than 15% surge capacity, and Corey is on this call with us, I think in conversations that we've had, this has not been an issue for Peterson at this point, and throughout the tracking period for COVID-19, we've had good capacity at Peterson Regional Medical Center. And then the final criteria that could push us back to having to revert back to the 25% occupancy rate would basically be the governor at any point as a result of his executive order GA-18 by proclamation could require our county to return to essential services level only. So at this point, none of that seems to be having an impact on us, and we'll just have to monitor it into the future. But it looks like we're not in jeopardy of having to lose our 50% occupancy status at this point. Corey with Edmondson with Peterson talked about the Texas Medical Board's requirement, so I won't get into that, but basically the requirement for having to mandatory that you wear a mask if you're visiting a doctor's office. And I think, Mayor, that covers my comments regarding the 50% occupancy, 25% occupancy capacity. I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. Anything in addition to that?
Next testing.
Go ahead.
The next testing.
Yeah, the next testing is, Chief Smith, the next testing is tomorrow at the Kroc Center?
That's correct. Next testing.
I think we lost the chief. It's tomorrow at the Kroc
Okay,
Center.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow at the Kroc Center from 9 to 5. If you have not registered, you can find the information on the city's website, social media site to be able to register for it. We may be bringing this test back again in the future. Haven't been given a future date, but we encourage anyone who think that they may be affected or have signs and symptoms relevant to COVID-19 that you register and go out and get the test.
Okay. Good.
It's free. It's free.
Oh, okay. One clarification, City Manager was reminding me, the testing is free, but as you indicate, you can sign up on the city website, and that's tomorrow from 9 to 5 at the Kroc Center. Thank you all for participating in this conference time, and it is our hope that this gives the public information that maybe you did not have, but reinforces some things, and it also gives you an update from several different perspectives. So thank you and stay safe.